welcome to my channel. Welcome to DIY Art Plus. So I'm back again with my canvas painting. So I'm gonna paint water lily today. So let's see what material I'm gonna use. Now if you are new to my channel, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and if you like this video, give a big thumbs up. Alright, so I'm gonna use acrylic paint today. So these are all the colors I'm gonna use. You can take a screenshot if you like, but basically this is just a brown. I'm gonna use two different shades of green. In case if you don't have a light green, you can just mix the yellow and green to get this color. And again, I always like to say this is, you don't have to use the same color I'm using, because we are all using different brand of colors and we don't have the same shades sometimes. So this is the blue I'm gonna use, light blue, dark blue. And I'm also going to use this kind of pink, purple pink. Alright, and I'm also going to use my white. As you can see, I have a lot of white because I use a lot of white on my painting. And I also have a 8x10 size of canvas, and I already take some of the paint out on my paper, my plate here. Now if I use different color as we go, I'll let you know what color I'm using, but this is only what I'm going to use for now. Alright, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this flat brush. You can use any size you like. You can use a small one if you have a oopsie. You can use a big one, or you can use a small one. Right now, if you're using a bigger canvas, if you're painting on bigger canvas, you can definitely use a bigger brush. If you're painting on a smaller canvas, you can just use your normal small brush. Alright, so first thing I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna trace my outline for the flower. Alright, so here's what I'm gonna do. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my water spray because I already take my paint out earlier. So I'm just gonna spray on my paint so it don't dry quickly. Alright, so let's start drawing. Now one more thing I also like to mention, I mean, if you are not professional artist, you don't have to do this, but you can also use a gesso and cover your canvas, so that way there is like this canvas texture. If you paint on a gesso covered canvas, you're not gonna have too much textured on your painting. But I'm not gonna use gesso today because I sometimes like to paint over my painting for this type of step-by-step painting, because I don't have that many of canvases. So alright, so now let's start drawing this. So here's my plan. I'm gonna add some grass on the top, some of the leaves and water, and a little flower maybe right here. So I'm gonna draw a flower first. Alright, so you can just watch me how I draw this flower. I'm not really sure how to explain this part, but this is how I'm gonna do. You don't have to really think a lot for this. Just try to draw a petal first. So I'm gonna draw a petal that are in the front, and then I'm gonna draw the ones in the back. Okay, now I'm gonna draw the ones in the back. Alright, I think I like this outline, so I'm just gonna make it slightly a little bit more darker, because once I paint it might be a little lighter. I'm not gonna go over it, but I might on some area. Alright, now I'm also gonna add some leaves, so let me quickly add those. So I'm gonna try to make a larger one on front here and a smaller one on the back. So for the large one, I'm just gonna draw like a little circle, but it doesn't have to be perfectly circle. Remember, just a painting, you're not painting anything real here, so don't think too much, just go for it. Okay, once I make a circle, I'm just gonna add a little line like this. Okay, and then I'm just gonna erase this line. Alright, now I'm not gonna add all of the same circles, so I'm gonna just add maybe one more right here. I mean all of the same leaves. Okay, as you can see, this is not a circle. You don't need a perfect circle here. Okay, I'm just gonna draw these two lines, one on this side and one on the other side like this. So again, you don't need any perfect same looking leaves. Okay, I'm gonna make this one like right here slightly a little bit larger. Now I'm just gonna add some more right here, but slightly a little smaller. Okay, so I'm not gonna make a perfect circle this time. I'm kind of trying, I'm gonna try to make kind of oval shape, so something like this. Okay. Just add like 3 maybe on this one. Okay, these are kind of overlapping on each other. I'm just gonna keep filling all of this area with some smaller leaves. Okay, so now from here to here, I'm just gonna add like a little line, kind of a little diagonal line. Okay, ignore the first line. Alright, I'm just gonna add some grass there. Okay, so now I'm gonna add bunch of more leaves right here, but you're not gonna see a perfect shape here, so I'm just doing this. Okay, I might add more with just the color, so I'm not adding a bunch of with the pencil. I'm actually gonna erase this. Okay, I'm just gonna keep filling all of this area with some smaller leaves. Okay, so now from here to here, I'm just gonna add like a little line, kind of a little diagonal line. Okay, ignore the first line. Alright, I'm just gonna add some grass there. Okay, so now I'm gonna add bunch of more leaves right here, but you're not gonna see a perfect shape here, so I'm just doing this. because it will be so much easier to do it just with the paint. Alright, so I add all of these. I'm just gonna make this slightly a little bit more bigger, I feel like. Okay, I'm just gonna add like one more on the edges because I don't want this to look too different. I'm just gonna add like one more maybe down here. Alright, yeah, I'm all done. Okay, so now I'm gonna start painting. So first I'm gonna use my big flat brush and I'm gonna start working from top to bottom. Alright, so now I'm gonna start with the darker color first. I'm gonna start from the grass right here. So make sure you just bat your bristles a little bit, make sure it's not dry. You can also use your maybe a paper towel so you don't have a lot of water. Alright, now I'm gonna use my brush like this all the time when I'm adding this grass, but then I'm also gonna use my brush like this just mostly on the bottom. Okay, so I'm gonna start adding the grass first, and I'm gonna use this darker green. Again, it's this green. If you have a regular green, you can just mix this with a little bit of blue. Alright, so I'm just gonna take like a little bit of paint and I'm just gonna add a whole bunch of lines like this. My focus is to cover this whole area with this color, and if you miss some white spot, that's okay because I'm gonna use a bunch of other colors. Okay, I'm also gonna use a little bit of brown color here. Okay, just a little bit on just one side of my brush, and I'm gonna apply this way. Alright, so I'm just gonna go under this area and apply this brown. Now as you can see, I didn't clean my brush. I still have some green here, so now this brown is not gonna be a perfect dark brown, which is a good thing. Okay, I'm just gonna do this, and then I'm gonna go back and just kind of add more lines starting from bottom, not going all the way to the top this time. It's okay if you do on some area, just don't think too much, just apply some brown on the bottom. And again, you don't need a sharp line here, so you can just break that a little bit. Okay, I'm just gonna clean my brush quickly here. Okay, I'm gonna come back on this area and add more grass later with a smaller brush. Alright, now I'm gonna work on the water. So I'm gonna start with the darker blue color here first. So I'm gonna use this blue. Alright, so I'm just gonna take some blue, and this time I'm gonna use my brush this way. I'm just gonna go left and right. Now if you want to cover your pencil line, you can also do that, but make sure your pencil line is dark enough to see, because this paint is gonna be really dark. I'm gonna try not to go over these leaves, but even if I do, I'm just gonna make this darker very quickly. Okay, so now I'm just gonna start applying this dark blue again, and I'm gonna apply from here. Now you can just go over your brown here. Okay. Alright, now I'm gonna use my brush sideway like this. So instead of using this way, just use it this way. It will be so much easier. Now, do you see how I'm going around these leaves? I'm just going very lightly. You can just go over it if you like, but I'm gonna try to do it this way. Okay, I'm just gonna take more paint. Okay, now before this blue dry, I'm gonna apply one more color. So let me try to do this part very quickly. Okay, I'm just gonna work like all the way maybe to here, and then I'll show you the next step because we're gonna use slightly different color on the bottom. So let's do the top part first. I like to also use just a little bit of water when you feel like your paint is not blending easily. Blending and also applying. Okay, I'm just gonna go around this flower like this. One thing also you can do if you have more time is you can also tape this flower and these leaves if you feel like, if that's easier for you. I didn't use tape because I have a lot of details on this flower and these leaves, so I didn't really bother to do that. Okay, I'm not worrying about this choppy line because that is actually gonna help you later. So I'm gonna leave that brush strokes like that. Alright, I'm just gonna take a little bit more blue and I'm gonna apply a little bit more like this. I'm not gonna cover it completely because I really want to see that light blue also on the background. So I'm gonna do this. You can also just go left and right. I'm gonna use different color down here, so I'm not too worried about that, but I'm still gonna apply this dark blue like this. Okay, now I'm gonna use brown again on this area. All right, now I'm not cleaning my brush here. I'm just gonna take a little bit of brown like this, and I'm mostly gonna apply just on the top of this area, so like this. Now we're gonna blend this brown and blue together. So first I'm gonna focus on applying this paint like this. I'm very lightly brushing on top of this here. Now my water is kind of still. No, never mind. Now my water don't have a lot of movement here, so that's why I'm gonna try to not to add, you know, too much of view. I don't know what else to say. Okay, so now I almost out of this paint. I don't have much left on my brush, so I'm slowly gonna bring this down just on some area like this. Okay, if you don't have any more paint, if you do this not getting any paint, don't take more, take it from here, take it from the top like this. Okay, I'm mostly applying around the leaves. I'm mostly adding this brown around the leaves like this. But you just have to keep moving your brush like this until you are satisfied. I think I like this. Alright, now I'm gonna clean my brush. And for this part, make sure your brush is really nicely clean. Make sure you don't have any other paint here, and make sure it's nice and dry, because we want to use kind of dry brush. If you feel like you have a if you feel like you're not able to clean this easily, you can also use a different brush. Make sure it's dry, but mine, as you can see, it's separated, the bristles are separated. That means it's nicely dry. All right, now I'm gonna kind of smooth out some of the area, so I'm just gonna do this. I'm very lightly, I'm gonna kind of brush it like that everywhere, and that's gonna smooth out some of the brush strokes. But again, I'm not too focused on smoothing out all of these brush strokes, because I really like that. I'm not really gonna smooth out a lot. But do you see how kind of looks slightly a little smoother? So you have to do this part very quickly again before your paint dry. Okay, I like this. I'm just gonna add more blue down here. I'm gonna use same blue, same dark blue, but this time I'm gonna use a little bit of water. Okay, and I'm gonna just start from the bottom here. Okay, I'm just gonna take a little bit more. All right, now I'm gonna start applying my lighter color here. All right, so do you remember how we applied the blue earlier here? I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna take my light blue and I'm just gonna apply it like this. I'm gonna also apply this color a little bit on this area. Sometimes it's hard to see because I have a glare on this one area here. Okay, perfect. I'm just gonna apply some white now. So I'm not cleaning my brush again. I'm just taking a little bit of white, and I'm mostly gonna highlight, you can say, on some of the areas. So I'm mostly gonna add a little bit here. As you can see, it's hard to see because I'm applying very less paint. That's what I like to do when I'm painting. I start with the very little bit of I start with the very less paint, and if I feel like I can apply more, but if you apply too much, you have to let it dry completely, and then you can use any color you like on the top. Okay. Okay, so that's all I'm gonna apply for now. I'm gonna let this dry a little bit and then I'll apply more paint. But before this dry, I'm gonna do one more thing. Do you remember what we did on the top? I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna clean my brush. Make sure you don't have any paint there, and make sure it's dry completely. All right. And then very lightly I'm gonna brush like this. Okay, I didn't apply any paint here, so let me apply that. I'm just gonna one more time smooth out. Okay, I'm just gonna use this small brush. It's a number 0 size. Alright, so I'm gonna start applying some darker green first. Now I'm not gonna apply the grass too straight. I'm just gonna add it like this. It's a little windy, so that's why I don't have any straight line. Okay, I like to also use a little bit of water. That's gonna give you a nice sharp kind of a line. You don't need any straight line, but you don't have to go over your grass too many times. You just have to go over once. I mean, just like this, just add some lines. You don't have to really think too much, just add your grass. Okay, I might fast forward this part because this is gonna take a little time. I'm gonna do the same thing with the light green. Okay, and I'm also going to use a little bit of brown. Okay, so something like this. I'm mostly going to apply it on the bottom, but I'm also going to add some longer, little taller grass too. So I like to use just maybe a little bit more water here. Okay. so something like this. I'm just adding some taller, longer grasses like this, but mostly it's just the smaller lines on the bottom. As you can see, I'm not adding like a nice one big line. I'm just adding like little lines like this. Okay, and just on the bottom right here, do you see the white area is, it looks like kind of little white. So I'm just gonna go under here with just more brown. I'm not adding any straight line. I'm just kind of adding a little wiggly kind of a line. So something like this. I'm touching the brown. I'm touching the blue, and I'm also touching the grass. So something like this. Okay, so I'm gonna do this quickly because I'm gonna show you one more thing before this brown dry. So make sure it's touching the water down here. Okay, and once you are done with this, you just have to go back on the bottom. So I'm just adding more on the edges too. Alright, so basically I'm not really taking a lot of paint. I'm just going under and kind of smudging this area a little bit like this. Just gonna take a just tiny little bit more paint, and I'm just smudging under this area. All right, now do you see how straight this line looks? I'm just gonna kind of break that, and I'm gonna add maybe more brown right here and maybe more right here, because I don't want any straight line on my painting. You don't need any straight line here. All right, I think I like this. I'm just gonna let that dry. Now I'm gonna work on these leaves. First, I'm gonna work on the flower at the end. All right, so now my leaves are kind of green color, and then I'm gonna add more details later. So let me start with the light green. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna do the outline with the light green, and I believe I have to use a darker green here, so I'm gonna use darker green because it will be so much easier for the later when you add the shadows. Okay, so I'm gonna use darker green here. You might have to do a couple layers if your paint is too thin. Alright, so the hard part is done. So I applied that dark green everywhere. Now I'm gonna also apply a little bit of light green now. Now to apply light green, I'm just gonna, let me clean this very quickly. Now I'm not gonna go on the edges a lot. I'm mostly gonna add this kind of line. So let me show you one on the big one here first. So this is basically what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna add like kind of lines, but make sure it's dry completely. Mine is still kind of little wet, so it might be a little hard to do it on the wet. So I'm just adding lines like this, and then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Okay, and I'm just gonna do the outline with the light green. Okay, but not all the way to the edge. So let me show you one more time. I'm just gonna add this kind of lines first. I know it's hard to see, so let me show you on white first. So I'm gonna show you with the white. Don't do it with the white. I'm just doing this so that way you can see what I'm doing. All right, again, don't do it with the white. I'm gonna just show you. That's why I'm using white. All right, so I'm just gonna add this kind of lines first, like this. Okay, and after I add the line, I'm just gonna go back and kind of make it slightly a bit lighter. Okay, and once I'm done with that, I'm just gonna go around the edges, but not all the way to the edges. Okay, so something like this, but with the yellow. I kind of like yellow, the white too, so I might use some white. Why not? All right, so let me do that very quickly with all of these larger leaves I have. Okay, I'm also gonna apply some white because I really like that white, and you can also use some yellow if you like. I'm actually gonna use yellow, so one more color I'm gonna use is a yellow. So I'm just gonna use this yellow here. All right, I'm also gonna use some white here, not again everywhere, just on some areas. I don't want to. Okay, now I'm gonna add some more leaves on the back here, and I'm gonna almost do the same thing, but I'm not gonna go in too much detail. So I'm just gonna take my green, and all I'm gonna do is add a little kind of oval shape. Oops, make sure you don't have a lot of water on your brush. Okay, I'm not gonna touch that area for now. I'm gonna let that dry completely. I'm gonna work on this side. Oops, okay, don't paint yourself. Alright, so let me start from here. I'm just gonna add kind of little oval shape size green right here. I'm not using too much water. As I'm coming down, I'm slightly making some, maybe just a little bit bigger, not too big, but just a little bigger. Okay, and I'm also overlapping them. I like that. I'm just gonna apply some light green now. So basically what I'm doing is adding a little bit of light green like this. Not gonna blend that so too much. I'm also gonna use some yellow, same way. So I'm not gonna apply again yellow everywhere, just maybe like one or yeah, just maybe one or two line. So I'm just gonna apply this yellow like this, just adding this on the bottom here, but this way. Once I apply that, I'm just gonna clean it and kind of, I'm gonna make it slightly a little bit lighter, so something like this, so you still can see this but not as clear. I'm gonna do the same thing with the white. Alright, so just a little white, maybe on the top or the other side, on the right side. Just gonna go back again to just make it slightly lighter, not too light. Alright, now I'm gonna work on the shadows. Alright, so now to add the shadows, I'm gonna use brown color and blue color. Okay, so actually I'm gonna use the blue first. I'm gonna take my darkest blue. So I'm gonna use this blue. Alright, I'm gonna use the same brush, and let me thin down my paint very quickly. So you just need a little bit of paint, you don't need a lot of paint. Okay, and I'm gonna add like a dot of brown, just a little brown. Okay, I'm just gonna take a bunch of water. Alright, now let me make a little dot. Do you see this right here? It's gonna dry out slightly little lighter blue. It's not gonna look like this, so it's gonna be slightly a little bit dark, lighter, I'm sorry. Alright, so I'm just gonna take this blue, just maybe a little bit, and just a little bit more brown. because I'm gonna use a lot of this color. I'm just making slightly a little bit more paint. So again, I just mix my blue and the brown. Alright, so now here's what I'm gonna do. Let me just test this color one more time, make sure it's not too dark. This is perfect. Alright, so now make sure everything is dry before you do this part. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go under each leaves, I'm sorry, this yeah, and then I'm just gonna add kind of little shadows, and you can just use your finger to smooth out the sharp line, but trust me, you're not gonna really see a lot of sharp line if you use a lot of water. Now just go over one time, you don't have to go too many times. So one more time like this. Okay, I'm not too worried about this area because it's all kind of shadows. Okay, I'm not gonna smooth out the lines for some of these. If you feel like it's not smoothing out, you can use your finger. Okay, so for the ones are on the top, I'm going all the way around. For the ones are on the bottom, you don't have to go all the way around. I'll show you once I do that. But let me do the top ones first. Okay, perfect. Now I'm gonna work on the bottom ones here now. So basically, I'm just gonna go under like this. I'm just gonna go one time around it, but just like this. And I'm gonna add more on the bottom, especially on this area right here. Okay, and then I'm gonna smooth out on the bottom like this. Alright, so let me do that quickly. Also for this one, again, I'm mostly adding on the bottom like this, and just like a little line on the top. You can also use your finger if you feel like it's hard to do it with the brush. Let me make some more paint. Okay, let's do this again. Okay. Okay, I'm also gonna add the shadows under this flower. I'm gonna add the colors later for the flowers. Alright, so I'm done adding the shadows. I'm gonna go back on just some area randomly. It's not a shadow, just a little of this color. Alright, so I'm just randomly adding this kind of layer. paint, colors, water, anything you can call. All right, and I'm gonna add also some maybe here. Just some lines maybe here. Mostly adding on the edges here like this. Okay, there you go. I'm just gonna go one more time under this flower because it's gonna be slightly little darker shadows. So wherever you feel like you want to make it slightly a little bit more darker shadows, go over that area one more time. But before you go, make sure it's dry completely. All right, now I'm gonna add some lines around these leaves. So something like this. I'm still using that same thin paint, so I'm just gonna take a little bit more water here. Alright, now I'm gonna add some lines like this. So something like this. I'm just adding some lines around these leaves. Now once it's dry, it will be slightly a little bit lighter again. So I'm just using tip of my brush the whole time I'm adding this line. Just adding like a couple of them, not really adding a lot. Okay, so something like this. Just gonna turn my canvas. Okay, I'm not too worried about the ones on the bottom. I mean the top. Okay, perfect. All right, now I'm gonna work on the flowers. Okay, so now my flower is pink. All right, so now here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use white and pink. So let me show you with the bigger flower first. So I'm just gonna use white first. All right, and I'm just gonna apply it on this big petal I have here. I'm just gonna apply the whole thing with the white, and then I'm just gonna take some pink and barely gonna touch it. Barely gonna take a little paint, and I'm just gonna mostly apply it on the edges and mostly on the bottom like this. Okay, so now this is what I'm gonna do with all of the petals I have, all of them. And once I'm done with the one petal, I'm just gonna clean my brush. Okay, so as you can see, I apply more pink on the edges. You don't have to apply pink on all of the flowers. You don't have to apply the pink on the edges on all of the flowers. You can just keep it white, especially on the top part. But if you apply some pink, let it dry completely after you are done with the whole flowers, you can go back and more pink on the top. Alright, so let me do this quickly here. I'm just gonna apply the white first. Just a tiny little pink on the bottom, like this. Okay, start with a very less pink, complete the whole flower. You can always go back at more other colors you like more white, more pink. Okay, I'm just doing the top one first. Now I'm trying to do 2 petals at the same time, so that way I don't have to wash my brush too many times. Because I think I can easily see which petals are going where. Okay, I like this. This is all I'm gonna do. Now one more thing I'm gonna do with the yellow color. So let me grab some yellow quickly. Need a little bit. Alright, now I'm just gonna add the center of the flower, and this is what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna, if you like to let this dry maybe a little bit, it will be easier for you to do this. I'm just gonna go for it. Alright, so remember, there are front side petals here, there are some petals on the back. I'm gonna add the center in between. So I hope you can figure out which one are on the front, which one are on the bottom, I mean the behind. So now mine is right here, so I'm just adding some lines, like vertical lines in between these petals. Like this. All right, I'm not gonna go too many times, but this is enough. All right, I'm also gonna add the shadows on the bottom for this flower. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take some white, and I'm gonna try to figure out where my flower is, where my shadows gonna come. So my shadows are gonna come right here. So I'm just adding a shape of, there is no shape in the shadow, but I'm trying to add the shape of the petals, something like this, not really thinking too much. And I'm just gonna use my finger to smooth out that maybe a little bit. Okay, so something like this. Okay, just gonna bring this white down a little bit on the bottom. Okay, I'm also gonna add some pink, same way, not gonna go too crazy. Okay, now if you can replicate the flower on the bottom, you can also do that. Why not? I'm not gonna do that, not for this painting, and I'm just gonna smooth out with my just a finger here. And I like to just go under this flower between the shadows and here, and I'm also gonna smooth out that area too, because I don't want a perfect solid white there, or pink. Okay, I'm also adding some on this side, also some right here. Okay, I'm also gonna add some pink. That's okay. That's all I'm gonna do. I might just add a little bit more white lines like this. I'm not gonna smooth that out. Okay. Alright, now I'm gonna clean my brush, and I'm also gonna add some white. So make sure this line that you added earlier around these leaves, make sure it's dry. And now I'm gonna add some white there, same way. Now if your white paint is kind of a little pigmented, like thicker like this, make sure you use a little bit of water. My paint is already thin, so I'm not gonna use any water here. Alright, so basically what I'm gonna do, same like I did earlier, I'm just gonna add some lines, but mostly gonna add on the bottom. I'm just gonna add like maybe a couple of them, one on the top, more on the bottom, so something like this. Make sure you are using your smallest brush. Okay, so something like this. Not to worry about this one right here, because it's a little far. You can't really see this much from far. This is looking so cute. I love this. Alright, I'm just gonna add just some random lines also around these ones. I know you can't really see clearly, but I'm just gonna add some lines like this just under these leaves. I'm just gonna randomly add more lines because I love adding lines like this. Just like this, I'm just gonna kind of smooth that out maybe a little bit, but not too much. think I want to make this area slightly a little bit more lighter. I'm also gonna do the same thing with the yellow. Not gonna go too much. I'm not gonna go a lot with the yellow. Just like on some areas like this, because I want to make the water kind of a little greenish too, but not too greenish. So that's why I'm just adding a paint first, and then I'm just smoothing that out a little bit. It's also gonna look like a kind of shadows too. Okay, but I'm not going for the shadows. Okay, I think I like that. I'm gonna do the same thing with some more blue. So I'm just gonna take the blue again, and just gonna pick the random spot. That's all I'm gonna do here. Let me just go back on just some area with the white on my flower. Okay, yes, I'm done here. I'm done. And I think I'm gonna add this blue also, maybe a little bit here, because I still see a straight line here. I just don't want to see that straight line. Okay, so this is first time I'm painting Lily, so I think I'm happy how it turned out. So let me know, what do you think? I'm just gonna do like one more thing. Sometime, you know, I cannot stop myself, so I'm just gonna keep adding stuff that I might not need. Alright, so I'm just taking just a plain dark blue here and just adding a kind of little line on the bottom of these each leaves. So something like this, just on the bottom, not adding anything on the top. Okay, I'm just adding slightly smaller line on the top because I really like this blue around these leaves. Okay, just a little bit. Alright, so yeah, here I'm all done with this painting. Don't forget to sign your painting. I hope you guys all have fun painting with me, and if you do, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and if you like this video, give a big thumbs up. So thank you so much again for painting this nice painting with me, and I would love to see your painting if you'd like to share with me. And if you have any question about the materials I use, please let me know. Alright, so again, thank you so much for painting. I will see you next time. Bye.